Welcome to this edition of Morgan You Asked For podcast. Ryan Morgan here with Trevor Voss. Wednesday night after dark, I'm going to use the old and they're on RVTV this week. But Keith Murphy, Andy Fales, Ed Wilson, Chris Williams. I don't know if he's there with, but there is a deep dark secret after dark podcast that will never see the light of day, I guess. They've talked about it. It's hidden or deleted now or whatever, but I guess it was a good one. But it can't get out into the public realm, is what's been said. Just want to thank everybody for listening, tuning in. This is the best time of year for our podcast. Football full time. We have NFL this week kicking off on tomorrow night. College football will start. I don't think there is any games tomorrow night. They go back Friday. It's smart. There's no point in putting anything on tomorrow night because NFL starts and they're going to be all day, every network because the NFL is king. Friday night, there's a handful of games, nothing real big. But then Saturday has not as good of games as last week, but there are still some good games out there. A lot of interconference, another big one. Big week for the Big 12, a couple opportunities there. But again, just want to thank people for tuning in. It is weird. I was looking, somebody from Delaware tuned in this week. I don't know anybody from Delaware. It's just, and that's awesome. I thank those people, but, rate, review, subscribe, YouTube, maybe even Facebook now. We'll be able to see their comments live. I think I did change a few settings here. So, Taylor, I know you are on Facebook sometime. If you want to type, I think we'll be able to see it live without looking at our phones this time. So, if anybody is out there on Facebook listening, you want to write a comment, I think we'll be able to see them, but no guarantees there. I did do work on a little settings and stuff there, but good week. Let's start with college because we are going to go with the NFL. We're going to go longer with the NFL because it's starting, and we're going to make our picks. We're going to pick our conference champions, our division champion, and then our Final Four, Super Bowl picks, and then Super Bowl champ. Start with college. Because it's Wednesday, it's actually closer to the next game than his last game. I just want to talk 1 minute on the Hawks and the Cyclones. The Hawks, their quarterback stinks again for that game, but I in no way think he's going to stink that bad again this Saturday against the Cyclones. Cyclones absolutely steamrolled South Dakota. That game, I was there, obviously, was the most butt-whooping of a game that I've almost ever seen in that stadium, and I've seen a lot of games in the last 25 years there. That game was not close from midway through the first quarter, first two drives. South Dakota went down and scored a touchdown. Second drive, they were driving. We picked it off. And then from then, it was just a butt whooping. Offensively, they looked good. Defensively, they looked pretty good. But it's all up in the air, and we'll make our picks here in a few minutes here. But, Trev, real quick, Hawks Cyclones recap.
Yeah, the Cyclones, when you look at the way that Kansas State played, Iowa State played the total opposite of them, both making that journey back from overseas. So Iowa State was buttoned up, ready to go. For the Hawkeyes, going into Jack Trice, it's going to be a three-headed monster with the quarterback obviously be a running threat until he can get that passing underneath him, if he can at all. We'll see if that even develops throughout the season. But he is a legit threat as a runner. I think if Iowa can get over 150 yards rushing, that's going to be a key to the game. And, of course, force a turnover somehow or a big special teams play with Iowa special teams typically comes through in these type of games. So we're probably going to need a turnover or a big special teams play to go along with the rushing attack. If Iowa State can shut down the Iowa rushing attack, then it's going to put a lot of pressure on Iowa's passing game, which, as we know, the past however many years is pretty putrid.
Yeah, for someone that won his 50th game in college football, 2 national championship, won the 1AA FCS Heisman, the Walter Payton Award, he looked really bad. There's just no other way to say it. But no way Do I think he'll play that bad this week at Iowa State? He'll play much better. This game is a one-score game. It's a 3-point spread. I actually was just looking at it a little bit. CBS, all their guys have it 20-17, 24-21, and that's what I'm going to have it as well. It's right there, one-score game. Whoever makes the mistake, whether it's in the kicking game or offense, defense, doesn't matter, blows a coverage, a big turnover, that's who's going to win the game, whoever capitalizes on the mistake of the other team. Iowa State's not beat Iowa in Jack Trice Stadium since 2011. Steele Jantz was their quarterback. Steele Jantz actually went 2-0 against the Hawkeyes, which is crazy to think. And Matt Campbell is 4-6 against Kirk Ferentz, or 4-5. But he's won two of. He's won.
Sure about that? Is that correct?
No, he's 2-6. That's what it is. He's
2-6. I was going to say I thought he's won one twice.
Yeah, but he's won 2 of the last 3, and then this would be 3 of 4 if they can get it this week. So it is turning around. But he has not beat him in Jack Trice, and obviously it's been 11 years. Game day's been there 21, 23, or 19 and 21, 23. They were not there, but then. This one, and I want to get your opinion on this. There's a lot of people, and I don't know if Iowa State's promoting this or the Big 12, but there are more people promoting the Barstool guys being there more than even the Fox, the big noon kickoff. The Barstool show is there. Obviously, Portnoy is, kind of involved with both of them, but is that Barstool? And I've watched that show. I don't watch it a lot, obviously, with being at the games and at the camper and stuff a lot. But is that Barstool show a really, really big deal?
I don't watch it, but I assume it is, like most things with Barstool and Dave Portnoy. Yeah. I saw he had a story that he had some sort of a meeting with the Big 12 commissioner, I think earlier today or this week. I didn't have time to read into it, but I think the Big 12 is trying to do a lot more work with Barstool and Dave Portnoy. So I believe that 1 hour show is going to start an hour before Big Noon kickoff. Does that sound correct?
It could be, and they're in the same spot. I mean, they're both in that Ryman, between Jack Trice Stadium and Ryman Gardens, where game day has been the last 2 times they were there. I know we got a message from Iowa State or whatever that the festivities kick off at 7:30. Obviously, Big Noon kickoff doesn't start till 9. So, but just all the stuff starts at 7:30.
Yeah, and Josh Pate, I don't know if you listen to him. He's going to be there as well. And then he's actually, I don't know how long they're staying. They're probably they're taking a quick trip, private jet from Ames or Des Moines, and they're going to Norman, Oklahoma. So they're going to be in 2 locations on Saturday. But I really like listening to him. He's one of my favorites for college.
He's good. And then, with it being the big noon kickoff, Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt are on the game. So a lot of big wigs are in town this week. Josh, I would assume if they're flying private, they're going to fly right out of Ames. The airport is not very far from Jack Trice Stadium. It's just right across the road there, really. But yeah, this is a big game. And I think it is really big for Iowa State. They've looked really good. The Big 12 in general needs to win this game to beat a Big 10 team. Give themselves the best opportunity for 2 teams to get into the playoff. Baylor had a disappointing showing last week. Utah looked really good against a Big 10 UCLA team. TCU looked really good against the ACC North Carolina team. So as of right now, I would say those 3 teams, 1/2 games into the season, look the best, but it's a big opportunity this week for Iowa State to beat Iowa. Kansas has a big one against Missouri.
Arizona State at Mississippi State's a big one.
Arizona State needs to win that one. That's one it's kind of like the Baylor and Auburn game. Baylor shouldn't have lost that game if they want the perception to change. Arizona State, your defending champ, a team that's expected to be right in the hunt again, cannot go and lose to the team that might only win 1 game in league play, Mississippi State. They can't. it looks really bad.
Definitely a big week for the Big 12, as you mentioned. It's going to be, I saw the first 500 guests there for the kickoff party. They're giving away a bunch of gift cards and all sorts of stuff there outside Jack Trice. So are you going to be up there for that, I would assume?
Yeah, we'll be there. I don't think I'm going to make it over to the stuff. I believe TJ's coming over. Zach's coming. I believe Brett's coming. They're all going to be there about 7:00. It's one of those, you have to get up and around. We're going to go up Friday night late and stay in the camper. If you try to show up at like 8:00 or 8:30 for that game, you got no chance. So it's one of those, you get in. With it being an 11:00 game, you make a little bit of food. Maybe, with being in the camper, we can, make some eggs and bacon and toast, cereal, little snack stuff. And then I really think the big time tailgate is going to be after the game, because it'll be over at 2:30, come back, grill. You're not moving anyway. There's people everywhere. Just that's when you enjoy the camaraderie with a lot of friends and everything else like that. And finish your day, turn on the TVs and watch all the other games. But with it being an 11:00 kick, and I know they said, I believe the gates open at 9:30 or 10, that they're going to put on the big screen in the stadium, big noon kickoff from 10 to 11 on. So if you get in there some people, the students will get in there as soon as they can, but from 10 to 11, they're going to have the big noon kickoff show on the big screen in Jack Trice.
Yeah, that's a really smart move. That way you start getting at least some of the fans in there to help with the congestion, and then they can watch the show, because everybody wants to see the show. You get, you're lucky for Iowa State if you get one of those a year. So that's a smart move.
And the other thing I just want to talk, Iowa State, this will be the third week in a row that they are national TV and on the two big brands, Fox and ESPN. Two Fox national televised, big time cruise, big time game. Then obviously the one in Ireland was on ESPN. 2 out of the 3 coming right off their big shows. Iowa State is, I heard someone say that as of 3 weeks into the year, they're almost $75 million of free advertising just because of being picked for those shows and those games.
It's good. It's good for Iowa State. And of course, I watch FS1 a lot during the day with my listening to Coward and First Things First. And of course, every time they go to a commercial break, whether it's on TV or whether I'm just listening on the radio, you could hear them advertising the Iowa State game coming up, because there's not a lot of big games this weekend. That's really the only good game early. There's a few in the afternoon and a couple at night. So this is outside of Michigan going to Oklahoma, this is the second biggest game of the weekend.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. And Iowa State, in the last 7-8 years, it's become a bigger and bigger rivalry. Now, it always hasn't worked out that way in the game. Campbell's only beat them 2 times. But Ferentz isn't too much until Campbell. Actually, I heard Ferentz is 14-11 against Iowa State. So he's got a winning record, but it's not Hayden Fry. Now, some of it was because Hayden Fry left the cupboard so bare. He started off 0-4. So he's done really, he's 14-7 after he got it going. But Iowa State needs to turn this around. The biggest thing with Iowa State, they need to not turn the football over. That's what they've done in Jack Trice Stadium. That defense has just shut them down. And then now, thankfully, they don't have Torrey Taylor, but 2 years ago, Torrey Taylor was the MVP of that game. Iowa State was inside the 10-yard line all day. There was a pick that thrown to Castro right in the flat for a walk-in touchdown from 5 yards out. And then the game was over, essentially.
Was it 2019 where they muffed the punt and then they had the rainstorm with the 3-hour delay or whatever it was? Yep. Everybody was lost. And
that was 19. And then 21, Purdy just had an absolute awful day.
Mm-hmm.
So
you got want to make a score prediction for the game?
I'm going to go 27-24. I'm going to go a little bit higher scoring than a lot of people are predicting, but it's close. It's going to be a nail biter. I have heard a few people pick and are a little bit worried that Iowa State could go in a blowout, but I don't see. Iowa State has not won by over a a one-possession game since 2006, 7. Can't remember what year it was, but it was like 31-3. And that was a big upset. But Iowa State they don't win. Iowa State doesn't win this game by a lot of points usually. It's close. And I just don't see if Iowa State would get up 2 touchdowns, they're going to be pretty conservative because they know it could go, one interception return or one fumble that it's going to go bad. Because that's the one thing Iowa State likes to throw the ball across the middle to their tight ends because their tight ends are really good. And Iowa is absolutely unbelievable at making interception. If the ball is tipped or ricocheted off, they don't drop it. If they have opportunity for interceptions, they don't ever drop it. They catch it, and then they turn in and they return it. I can just picture Xavier Wampas is sitting back there, then just like he did in high school, and he has it for the Hawkeyes as well. Just like Cooper DeJean did, Wampa, I believe, returned his first interception when he was a freshman in the bowl game for a interception for a touchdown. So, I mean, he's done it before, and he'll do it again if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, Iowa's probably going to need a turnover in this one. I'm going to go Iowa 23 or Iowa 26, excuse me, Iowa State 23. So I've got it almost the same as you do. I forget what the over-under is, but I've got it a 3-point game going to the Hawkeyes' favor.
Yeah, I believe it's dropped to 41, so it's getting lower and lower. Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight. One play here or there. That's what it's going to be.
No, it should be a blast. Sounds like you got a bunch of people coming up. That'll be fun, and I'll be watching from home. It'll be perfect because I can watch the first hour of College Game Day on ESPN and then switch over to Big Noon Kickoff and see everything that's going on there in Ames.
It will be a little interesting. With obviously being in a game and everything, I won't be able to watch. But what do you think Game Day will do at the end of Game Day now with Corso not making his picks?
I would imagine Pat will get the what he's done a lot over the past couple of years. He does some of the chants that the universities do. So I could see something like that. I think a cool way to end it would be with the kick contest that he does. But the problem with that is you got so many students around. If the game starts right after, of course, a lot of those are night games where they're at. I don't know. Maybe they'll just make their picks and do that for the remainder of the year, which I think would be fine.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you almost want to honor him, but yet you can't still do it. And I agree that Pat McAfee needs to do something in that spot. I mean, that's what he was hired for. That's why he's there. He needs to do something, but I don't know what that would be.
He'll stand on his chair and start singing or yelling. That's probably my best guess of what he'll do.
All right. Just a few other college topics. The Belichick debut with TCU started off right down the field to score. Tweets are coming out. He's the best ever. And then it went to crap in a hurry. TCU's just a better team. I don't know if it's going to work or not. It didn't work in this game. People do forget that TCU played for a championship like 4 years ago. It wasn't that long ago they played for a national championship. Sonny Dykes knows how to win football games in college. And they were never talked about. Obviously, it was always North Carolina and Bill Belichick. And they put it to him.
Yeah, they went about as poorly as it could. I know you and I both predicted North Carolina to go 7-5 this year. I'm thinking almost the opposite. It could be a 5-7 season. I saw a picture, maybe you saw it too. Bill Belichick in college is just basically what Urban Meyer was in the NFL, and that's not that far off. Urban was, got in trouble, stayed at his steakhouse a little bit too late one night, out on the dance floor, all that type of stuff. Bill Belichick's got the young girlfriend. She's on the sideline. Afterwards, you see the press conference, got all the balloons after they just got blown out. It's very weird, and I'm very close to saying that this is going to end very poorly. I don't want to take too much from one game, but with all the young girlfriend stuff going on and the 70 new players, I don't know if this is going to work at all, to be honest.
I don't either. And I kind of wanted to because he is in the Super Bowl era for sure. It's not close. He's the best NFL football coach ever. You could argue there's ones in the past and, but he won 6 championships. Right or wrong, he did it. With Brady, without Brady, you can make that argument. But he had Brady. He built the teams. He was a GM. He did it. But he's 70-some years old now. And you wonder how much he actually – my question is, how much is he actually doing? Or is he a face anymore?
I bet he's still doing a lot, but he is distracted.
I would assume so, but it's just you just don't know.
No, you don't. And he's got all of his family and people that he knows, a lot of his friends and ex-players, some players who have never coached. So it's a lot of people that he's comfortable being around. Again, the girlfriend being on the sideline, we saw in practices during the year. And then this game, I think it was either before the game or at halftime from the video that I saw. That's just weird. And again, the post-game press conference with all the balloons and stuff, that's just totally anti anything Bill Belichick would have ever done. So I don't know if this is going to work ever there. I mean, he might be there a few years given the contract or something, but I don't know how good they're ever going to be because he's got to bring in a bunch of new players, and are they going to stay?
I hope it works out, but I don't think it will, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to take too much from one game, but that was about as bad as it could have been.
Next, I kind of wrote on the thing, the arch overreaction. He didn't play well. Ohio State is really, really good, and he'll play better, and Texas will be in it almost to the end. And would it shock anybody if those two played for the national championship?
It would shock me. The football coming out of his hands looks like he's never played football in his life. It looked like he was a lifelong baseball player that some buddies and a coach told him, hey, why don't you go try football? And he's been practicing for about 3 weeks. The way the ball, the struggles don't surprise me going against Ohio State. That's to be expected. But the way the football came out of his hand and the weird throwing angles, it was eye-opening. I would compare it to he looked like he should be the starting quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
I was going to say that too. He kind of looked like it's not Gronkowski. It's not, but whatever his name is. Yeah, Gronkowski. Or, Spencer Petras or Deacon Hill or Cade McNamara. It didn't look good. But people do forget that Ohio State has a new defensive coordinator that has beat the best in the world. He's one of the best in the world, and he has some of the best players in college football on his team. But you are correct. It didn't look good. His footwork was bad. He got better as the game went on, but he was not ready when that game was starting out.
Like I said, just struggling in general was to be expected. If they lost the game, again, it was a 7-point game. If that's the worst game he plays of his career, which it probably will be, then that's fine. The next 3 weeks, they've got easy opponents. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up 10 touchdowns, no picks over the next 3 games. And I think they have back-to-back games at Florida and then versus Oklahoma. So that Florida and Oklahoma game, we're going to find out pretty soon here whether week 1 was just kind of an outlier or if it's a sign of things to come. Because after watching that first week, I would definitely say he needs to come back for his senior year.
Yeah, I mean, and his grandpa and all his family has pretty much said that the plan is for him to come back. If he goes and wins the Heisman, they win the national championship. It is what it is. He's probably the number 1 pick no matter what, just because of his family name. And he does have the skills, the tools to be really good. But is he closer to an Anthony Richardson athlete, not played a ton of college football? Now, if he plays all this year, comes back all next year, he would at least have a lot of 2 years of college football behind him. Unlike, Richardson played like in 12 games or 13 games. But I just think they weren't ready. I don't know if it was Sark didn't have them ready or they were just really not ready for Ohio State's defense with Patricia as the coordinator. I mean, they had all kinds of film on him. He's not a secret. He's been a head coach in the NFL. He's been a coordinator, offense and defense. They knew what he was going to do, but they weren't ready for it.
Well, going into Ohio State, the Horseshoe, defending champs, the Corso, it's a lot to overcome. Someone explained it best, and I agreed. Arch Manning's the first high school basketball prodigy that plays college football. A lot of times you get these high school basketball players that just play in high school and they're already promoted. They're going to be good in the NBA. College football is different. You've got to actually prove it on the football field. Cam Newton didn't pop till his senior year at Auburn. Joe Burrow didn't pop till his senior year. Baker Mayfield had a few years of accumulated really good play to build up his hype. Same with Caleb Williams. Arch is kind of the first one, not any fault of his, that he was kind of already promoted as the next great thing without really playing much. So that's the media hype. I did see he was on some commercials. I'm kind of wondering if he's going to have more commercials or more touchdown passes this year.
Well, that was a joke too. And then, the other question that I heard, and it's a fair one, he couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers, who was a 7th-round draft pick. I mean,
well, watching the way the football came out of his hand in that first game, I can see why he didn't beat him out. It was weird. Again, him struggling just in general, I expected, but the way the football in the release, it was awkward looking. So these next 3 weeks, yeah, they're going to probably have to build him up, which I'm sure they will. But as I said, their 5th and 6th game, I believe it is against Florida and Oklahoma. We're going to find out a lot more in those 2 games.
All right. Well, I wrote it, but I forget what I wrote. What was next on my list here?
Oh, Alabama.
Yep. Alabama. Is the dynasty over? I'm going to say yes, because no one will have that dynasty again. The rules are just so different now than they were even, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. No one's going to win 4 championships in 6 years or 4 and 7 years or whatever it was that Saban did, just because the rules and the change in roster really isn't going to allow it.
Yeah, I definitely think the dynasty's over. You probably heard this under Kalen DeBoer, who I like. They've never had a game where they've had less penalties than their opponents. So that wouldn't happen under Saban, and if it did, they'd have it corrected before they even got on the bus to go home after the game.
They'd all be walking home.
Yeah, every game that DeBoer's coached at Alabama, they've lost the penalty battle. So that's a little bit alarming. They got pushed around by Florida State. I watched a good chunk of that game, and they were just getting run all over. And you never saw that under Saban. I think another thing that's a problem for Alabama, if this year goes sideways, they have money, but Alabama doesn't have as much money as everybody thinks. Right. They've also invested a lot of it throughout the university. When Saban was there, he's probably not walking back through that door. So from what I've heard, it's either 60 to 70 million to buy out DeBoer. So if you do that, you've got your NIL money too, and then you got to bring in a new coach. I mean, you could be talking 100+ million, obviously, easily.
Oh, you're talking $150 million.
150 easily. Alabama's got money, but I don't know if they have quite as much money as some people think they do.
I've heard it's unless one guy comes up. I mean, everybody has the one guy that could come up with a problem if they wanted to, or the group of people, if they really want to go on. But it is just, you don't want to be the guy that follows the guy. You want to be the next guy. I mean,
that's typically right. And he's really what's got to happen is he's just got to get him in the playoff, and we'll see what happens there. But if they miss the playoff again, he probably gets a 3rd year, just given the money, right. Give him one more year to try to prove it, to save the boosters a little bit of the buyout. But if they were to go like 4-8 or something, then who knows? But if they go 7-5 or 8-4, miss the playoff, I would think, just given all the money that it would take, he'd probably still get his 3rd year, though.
I think he will. But did I hear this right? Is he 5-5 in his last 10 games?
Could be, because I know they lost the bowl game to Michigan, so I know he's 0-2 in his last 2 for sure. I'd have to go back and look at how they ended last year, though.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be every time Alabama lost, I mean, it was a big deal. And they would only lose 1 game a year, maybe 2. it's amazing how the mighty fall and how fast sometimes it is.
As you mentioned, you don't want to be the guy to follow the guy. You want to be the next one after that.
Yeah,
so,
whoever gets hired next will probably win. And I saw a
Right.
list, and you know who was like 4th or 5th? And I know it's connection back to Saban, Jimbo Fisher. He was like 5th on the list.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd like Jimbo, but
That'd be a hard sell, wouldn't it?
it'd be a hard sell. You know who is going to be coaching in the SEC next year, almost for sure, because I don't think Florida State's probably going to come open. Florida State looks like they might be the surprise team this year, the way they manhandled Alabama. But John Gruden, I think, is going to be coaching in the SEC next year. My guess is Arkansas, given the Walmart, Tyson, and is it Pilots or whatever the truck stop company is.
They got Calipari, so they got unlimited money. So yeah,
I think Gruden is for sure coaching, almost for sure coaching in college football next year. Most likely the SEC, and my guess is Arkansas.
So, question: Why is the NFL just blackballed him because of the emails and everything? Just he can't get in there.
I think they've still got a case going on. I know they moved forward with something a while back. I really didn't read into it just because it's been so long. I really didn't care at this point.
Yeah, but I'm with you.
But yeah, he's probably not going to get back in the NFL, at least for a while. And he's been doing a lot of stuff with college. So I think it's almost a lock that he's going to be coaching somewhere with some money. And again, Florida and Florida State look good so far. It's early. So you can kind of mark those two schools off. Auburn won. We'll see how the rest of their season goes. But I think Arkansas is a team to keep an eye out for John Gruden.
They're not going to go with Petrino back. Just have Pittman walk out the door and then bring him all the way back, not just let him be coordinator.
No, I don't think that's going to happen again. I think they'd roll the dice with the John Gruden, and that's the thing about those boosters there at Arkansas. If you get the right coach, like they did in basketball, they will put up the money.
Yeah, there's unlimited money there with Tyson and Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just and the sad thing, it's not sad. It's just the upsetting thing is they don't look anything like DeBoer's team at Washington. They were good. They knew what they were doing. And Florida State, and I was listening to some people, they said Florida State literally, when they lost that game in Ireland, it literally just deflated the whole team. And because they were a lot of transfers and everything, so they just really didn't care. And then once they lost, it was over. They really weren't that bad. It's just no one tried anymore. And then that's how it went to 2-10.
Yeah, that can happen sometimes. And the ACC might be a really fun race to the end with Miami, Florida State, and Clemson all looking really good through the Clemson lost, I know, but I think they'll be there at the end, at least competing. So it's good to have Florida State back in Florida and Miami. College football is more fun when those schools are doing well.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was, what was it, 2003 was the last time that all three of those teams were in the top 15?
I think I heard something like that. It was around 2003, the stat that I heard as well. So it's been a while.
Yeah. That Miami Notre Dame game, overall, I really don't care who wins that game, but it's fun to watch because I remember the 87, 88, 89, 90, whatever it was. And the crazy thing, in that 3-year stretch they played, the winner won the national championship. I wouldn't have thought that, but Miami with 2 and then Notre Dame with 1.
Well, I'll tell you what, Miami's offensive defensive line looked really good, and they've got a quarterback that everybody just wrote off who was at Georgia and played really well, and he looked good. So Miami looks really good. LSU looks really good. And one thing that I haven't done yet, but Corso went 6-0 on his picks, which you probably saw. He also picked LSU to win the national title, and I think they're 11 or 12-1 right now. So I'm almost thinking I need to throw a bet on LSU because it could be the year of Corso. Maybe we all need to throw a bet on them because their O-line and D-line manhandled Clemson, and Clemson had a ton of starters back.
Yeah, Corso went 6-0 on his picks, and then every team that he was a part of as a coach, obviously he picked Florida State. That's where he played, but Navy won, Maryland won, Indiana won. It was Louisville won. So even the games he didn't pick, every college team that he had any part of, plus his picks, all went undefeated, which is amazing. And it is, game one, and most of them were favorites, but Florida State wasn't. I mean, he was the only one that picked Florida State. That Notre Dame's pretty good too. They need to be kicking themselves a little bit. I think they feel like they should have maybe won that game. Clemson as well. And then just Brian Kelly still can't get out of his own way. You hear him and Dabo kind of going back and forth a little bit, or really Dabo's just saying something and then Kelly coming back at him.
I saw a headline, but I didn't hear either of what they said, though.
Yeah. So Dabo said, LSU had if they were grading them on 1 out of 100, LSU had a 65 and we had 58. We got beat. Neither team was great. It was early in the year. And then Kelly comes back. Well, he didn't watch the second half because we kicked their ass in the second half or something. Like, okay, you won, but you weren't you didn't kill them. I mean, and it's a big win. He needed that win. They've got a heck of an opportunity. They're going to be they're really good. They've been really good. They just haven't been able to get that key win to get up into the SEC championship game or anything with him, and he needs to win.
Well, they've got a disruptor on defense in Harold Perkins, and he's going to be a first-round pick next year if he keeps playing like he did in that Clemson game. He's impressive. The real quick on the Notre Dame Miami game, I don't know what Notre Dame was doing. The first drive I understood, maybe trying to catch Miami off guard with all the throwing. But where was Love in the running game? I mean, you got a redshirt freshman starting on the road at Miami. I thought they should have ran the ball way more. To me, that was a mistake. Maybe they saw something in film, but they just kept trying those screen passes, out to the sideline. It's like you got arguably the best running back tandem in the league, along with Penn State and maybe a couple others. I thought they should have ran the ball more, but still some really good games last weekend, though.
Yeah, it was fun. And I loved it being Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And I'm more of a college football fan, so I loved even watching North Carolina TCU. I know the game wasn't great at the end, but just having it on, Notre Dame, Miami, Sunday night, essentially Sunday night football. Even the South Carolina, Virginia Tech game. It was neat watching Beamer, coaching against the team he grew up obviously cheering for and being part of with his dad. They didn't look as good to me as I thought they would, because they're kind of a sneaky pick to be right there for the playoff, go 9-3, 10-2, get into the playoff if they have the right wins and everything. Either Virginia Tech's a little bit better, or maybe they didn't play as well as they could.
Yeah, I've heard. I think I saw that South Carolina didn't return very many starters compared to a lot of other teams, so maybe that's part of it. Maybe Virginia Tech's a little better. I did want to say I was a jump ball at the end of the game from Cincinnati pulling that upset over Nebraska in our pick'em pool that you got started. I would have been the only one that got that right, but he got picked off instead. But it was close.
I think that was a dumb play. They got into field goal range. There was still enough. There's like 30 seconds left, so it wasn't the last play of the game. Try to get 10 more yards. If you get a guy one-on-one, if you can make him miss, you get down there and then you take a shot. But you didn't have to take that shot on first down with still 30 seconds left in the game.
No, I don't mind looking at it. If you got the coverage beat, fine. Otherwise, check it down and stay in field goal range. And if you have to, you go to overtime.
Yeah, and the Nebraska guy made a heck of a catch. I mean, I'm not going to dispute that at all or anything, but just he was good. We might have lost Trev here. That's all right. We're going to transition here real quick to the NFL.
I think I'm coming back.
There you are. Excuse me there. We are going to transition now to the NFL. NFL kicks off tomorrow night. Dallas at Philadelphia, correct?
Yep. Dallas at Philadelphia tomorrow night will be the first NFL game. Dallas is an 8.5-point underdog, which I like Dallas to cover. Maybe get it back to where there. I like Philadelphia to win, but 8.5 is a lot for a divisional game.
Yeah, and it's opening game. Crazy things happen. Make sure everybody that's in survivor pools, you make your pick before then. Fantasy, make sure your lineups are set. College, make sure your picks are all in for pick'ems or fantasies or whatever you're doing. We're going to try to remember to tell people that, because I did have to. I haven't done this, but I am in Taylor's survivor pool. I did make my pick here just a little bit ago. Are you in that as well, Trev?
Yeah, I got 5 entries.
You did 5. I just did 1. How many people? So I haven't looked. How many people are in it? Do you even know, or does it say?
I think we're right at the 100-person mark, give or take. So the problem with mine, I've done enough of these. I don't really. My strategy when I first started doing these was looking ahead. Now it's just take it 1 week just win the week and move on. And with 5 entries, I know better than to put all 5 on one team, because that would be dumb. So right now I've got it spread out 2, 2, and 1. I think with some games that I like. That way, hopefully I at least have 3 moving on for sure, maybe 4, hopefully all 5, of course. But I know better than to put all 5 on one game, and I've watched the NFL long enough to know that upsets happen every week that you don't see coming.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So there's 100 people. Are we going to lose 10 or 15 right out of the chutes, you think?
Well, if one of the 2 big favorites loses, we're going to lose at least a third, if not close to half of the entries.
Yeah, because last year about half went gone right away with the Patriots beating they beat the Ravens?
Cincinnati,
yeah, Cincinnati right out of the chutes. Who are the 2 biggest favorites? I think I know them, but
the Broncos and the Eagles.
Yeah.
Followed by the Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites on the road at New Orleans.
I couldn't do that one. I saw that one. You really want to, because you want to pick a team. So here's a question: once you pick a team, can you pick them again? You can't pick them again, can you?
No, you can't. And that's again, a lot of people go with strategies. At this point, I just try to keep it simple, because things change throughout the season. A couple teams that we think are going to be good will be bad, and vice versa. There'll be injuries. So I don't like to look ahead too far. It's just make the best pick for that week, because it doesn't matter if you're looking ahead at week 4, week 6, week 8. If you lose in week 1 or 2, then it's all for naught.
Right. And I know I've not done this one because you have to actually get to Vegas. I probably should do this sometime with you. Circa has this big one, and they do different weeks, like the Thanksgiving games, day games, those 3, that's a separate week. The Christmas ones are a separate week. So you do have to do some strategy, because you have to pick teams that are actually playing in those games. So you don't just have everybody left. You have to leave Dallas or Detroit or whoever they're playing for a chance. But again, you have to get that far. But
yeah, Circa's got one. My roommate he entered one in Vegas. I don't know if it was a Circa or another one. There's one that's got like 5,000 entries, and I think the one that he entered's got about 1,000 entries, give or take. So there's some big ones in Vegas. But yeah, it'd be fun to get in some of those, depending on the entry cost. Split it with a few people, and
and that's what you do. I mean, it's the Circa one's like $1,000 or $2,000. So I mean, either you pony it up or you get with a little group, and I mean, it's not the end of the world money, but it's not just. It sucked to lose the first week. Like, well, there's 2 guys, Miller and Condon. I don't know if you've ever listened to them up here on the radio. They gamble all the time. They love it. They talk about it all the time, and they just want to make October. They can't figure it out. They're trying to game the system, and they can't make October.
Survivor pools are tough, very tough. That's why I did 5 entries, because I know within the first 2 or 3 weeks, I'm for sure going to have one out, no doubt about it, because there's going to be an upset that we all don't see coming, and it's going to knock a good chunk of us out.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun, though. So I made that pick. I'm in, obviously the one I set up, and then I'm in a different one with Travis and Ross with the Rush. They have one as well that Zach and I are in. That's another good talk show that we listen to. So it's always just fun to pick games, and it's that time of year. But any headlines in the NFL that we need to talk about going in here to week 1? Obviously, the Micah Parsons trade finalized. Questionable if he's going to play. I believe he will play. He'll get a shot. But is that any reason that Dallas would have traded him? Because this could be a lingering / maybe more of an injury than people think. But surely the Packers knew this. Surely he had to pass a physical. That's just part of doing business in the NFL. To trade, you can't trade someone without them knowing. They're not going to accept the trade until their doctors clear them.
Yeah, this is no surprise to the Packers, and this isn't the reason that Dallas traded him. Yeah. We'll talk about Parsons real quick. The reason that Dallas traded him, and I think it's the correct move, is because they waited so long to pay Dak, so they had to pay more than what they should have. They waited so long to pay CeeDee Lamb, they ended up paying more than they should have. So instead of Jerry Jones tripling down on a bad decision again for the third time, he traded away Micah Parsons. I think there was a writer out there that calculated if the Dallas Cowboys had paid Micah Parsons, they would have lost approximately $99 million against their cap because Jerry waited instead of paying early. So this is a reset year. If they had signed Micah Parsons, I thought they were too top heavy. I don't think they would have had any chance over the next 3 years or so to compete for a Super Bowl. By trading him, you're obviously not going to have a chance this coming season, which I didn't think they did anyway. But Jerry is right. They are going to have 4 first-round picks. And let's just say they're picking number 9 next year, which is not out of the question. And there's a quarterback sitting there that somebody wants, a.k.a. the Rams, who do have 2 first-round picks next year, and the Rams are picking 24th. And they want to come up for Sellers out of South Carolina, Nussmeier out of LSU. They can trade one or both of those 2 first-round picks, and all of a sudden Jerry, instead of having 4 first-round picks, now has 5. And what we could be looking at is in 2, 3, 4 years from now, Dallas having one of the best rosters in the entire NFL. If they hit on those draft picks and use them properly in trades, that's still to be determined. But I think if they had paid Parsons, their window for a Super Bowl was basically 0 the next 3 to 4 years. If they do the right things with these draft picks, I think their window can open up again 2 years from now through the next 5 years.
So now here's some conspiracy. Is this Jerry's idea, or is this Steven's idea, or is this one of his football people's idea?
It's probably a collaborative effort. I mean, again, if they had paid him, they'd be a 3-team top-heavy team with no depth at all. They don't have much depth right now to begin with. Right. So I think, like I said, Jerry made a mistake waiting to pay Dak, CD. He should have paid Micah Parsons a year ago. And instead of tripling down on a bad decision, he decided to cut loose, get draft picks. Again, it's a short-term step back this season. Long-term, though, I think it's the right move. And typically, I'm not for trading really good pass rushers or offensive linemen or quarterbacks. But since Jerry made mistake after mistake, they kind of backed themselves into this corner. So it's a good get for Green Bay. It's not Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor like a lot of people are making it out to be. I see all these people mentioning the sacks that he's had through his first however many seasons, is on pace for whatever. He's not Reggie White. He's not Lawrence Taylor. He's not even, in my opinion, a top 3 pass rusher in the NFL, but he's a really good player. He's a game changer for the Packers. So I think it's a good move for both teams, but a lot of people are picking Green Bay to win the Super Bowl now, all these different things. He's going to have to get back in shape a little bit. I assume the first few games he'll be on a snap count, but I think Dallas backed themselves in the corner, and this was the only smart move.
I heard this today. This is a good one. Which NFC team has the most wins since 2020?
NFC team with the most wins since 2020. Is it Green Bay?
It is. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't think that because they haven't, made the Super Bowl or really made the NFC Championship game. But they're just consistent. They're always there. And this is the type of player, like you hit it right on the head. He's not the best player, but he's going to help them, and it's what they need. Do you put them now as, we're going to talk about it here in a few minutes. Do you put them now as a favorite in the NFC North?
Well, we'll have to wait. I don't want to give my picks away. So you'll see here shortly once we start going through our picks. I know we're going to start with the AFC first.
Yep. Anything else you want to talk about for the NFL? The game, the game's in Brazil, right? The Chiefs and the Chargers?
Yeah.
Is it the same place that Philadelphia went last year?
2 years ago? I would assume so, but I haven't really looked into it. I'm not sure if it's the same stadium or not. I'm guessing so.
I am too. So, but yeah, just And that travel is not like going to Europe because that's probably East Coast time. So 1 hour difference, 2 hours difference, whatever. It's just you're going south instead of east and west across the country. All right, let's go ahead and do it. We're going to pick the 4 division champions, 3 wild cards in each division, and then pick the championship game contestants, and then the Super Bowl, participants, and then the champ.
So we're going to start with the AFC, and we're going to go northeast, southwest, just like we learned in school. Never eat shredded wheat. We're going to do it just like we were taught. So I'll get us started in the AFC. AFC North, I'm going to go with the most consistent team recently. One of the arguably top 3 or 4 best run franchises in the NFL. I'm going to go Baltimore, winning the division again.
Yep, I am as well. I think that's a no-brainer in that division. They are, like you said, Harbaugh is great, consistent. They know how to win. They've really been, if you go since they moved to Baltimore, there's only a couple franchises that's been ran better than them.
Yeah, they're very consistent. They've got a great roster. I'd like to put the Bengals there, but too many question marks on defense and the O-line. So I'm just going to go with what I know, and that's Lamar and the Ravens.
Yep.
So we'll move on to the AFC East now. And this is the easiest one in the entire league, as long as Josh Allen is healthy. Until another quarterback, truly elite quarterback emerges in that division, give me the Bills all day long.
Yep. I agree. They are head and shoulders above everybody else in that division, and they will contend for as long as Josh Allen is healthy. They will contend.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to keep racking up those touchdowns. So we're both on the same page so far. We'll go to the AFC South now. This is one that I think this division could be a little bit closer than people were thinking, but I am going to go with what could be the best defense in the NFL and the most proven quarterback and coach in that division. Again, going chalk, it's pretty boring, but I'm taking the Texans again this year.
Yep, I'm going with the Houston Cyclones as well.
All right, Houston Cyclones, we're 3 for 3. Finally, we'll go to the AFC West, and as long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are still breathing and alive and on that sideline, I know it's a real popular pick for a lot of people are taking the Chargers or the Broncos. I can't do it. This is the Patriots dynasty all over again, so give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, I am as well. I do think it is closer than it's been. I do think the Broncos and Chargers are going to make a closer run at them. I don't think they're going to go 14-2, and then the next closest is 11-6 now, I guess is what it would be. It's going to be a 1 game, maybe 2 game at most win here.
Yeah, it should be close. I mean, it's a really good division. Now Pete Carroll's entering it, the best coach division maybe of all time. So it's going to be close, but I'm going to stick with the Chiefs. And then I'll give you my 3 wildcard teams, and I'll let you give your 3.
Okay.
So my 3 wildcard teams, it's pretty boring. I'm going to go with the Chargers, the Bengals. Now, the Bengals are my first new playoff team every year. I think last year there was only 3. Most years there's about 5 new playoff teams. So the Bengals are my first new playoff team as a wild card. And then this was tough because everybody loves this team. This is a team we spoke about a little over a month and a half ago. I love their roster. Just don't know about the quarterback. I wanted to put in the Patriots. I sort of kind of wanted to flirt with the Titans, but give me the Broncos.
So you went Denver, the Chargers, and the Bengals. Okay.
Pretty boring. It's pretty boring. I wanted to have a New England or the Titans in there. I just couldn't pull the trigger to do it, though.
Mine's pretty boring as well. I got 2 of the same, and then I actually wrote down all 3, but I actually crossed off one of them, and I made a change. You can see where it's crossed off. I went with Denver. I think they're gonna push Kansas City this year. They're good. I like their coach, quarterback. They're gonna be fine. I went with the Bengals. Burrow's really, really good. As long as he stays healthy, they're there. If he gets hurt again, then they're out. And then I went with the Steelers. Again, franchise Tomlin wins. I think they have enough to get in. I don't think they're going to They're not going to be in my AFC Championship game, but I think they can get in instead of the Chargers. But I did have the Chargers wrote down and then crossed them off and put the Steelers in. So I was really close to putting the Chargers in as well. So we are on the same page in the AFC.
Yeah, we've got 6 out of 7 that we agree on, which I think the AFC, most people are going to agree on probably at least 4 or 5 teams for sure. There's not going to be a lot of discrepancy in the AFC. That's why we started with that. I think more discrepancy is going to come in the NFC. That's a little bit more wide open. So anything on the AFC before we go to the other conference?
Do you want to go ahead and go to the championship game just because I think we're a little more consistent here, or do you want to do the divisions first?
Let's wait. Let's go to NFC and then we'll do the final 4 and all that. So I'm going to let you go first on the NFC. Again, we'll start Northeast, Southwest.
Okay. I did make a change here with the trade and everything. I am going to go with the Packers. It really hurts me to say this as a Bears fan, but I do think the Packers are now the favorite in the North.
Yeah, everybody's making that change. I thought about it myself, of course. I'm not going with the Bears or the Vikings. Too many question marks. I am going to stick with what I know, and that's most of the roster is still intact and most of the people that have built Detroit up. I'm going to go with the Lions, Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. Hutchinson's coming back. McNeil's coming back there on the defensive line. Hutchinson was on his way to potentially breaking the sack record before he got hurt last year. So as much as everybody's jumping on the hype train of the Packers, again, Micah Parsons is not a Reggie White by any means. He's a really good player. I'm gonna hold off on the Packers just a little bit, and I'm gonna still give it to the Lions one more year.
I was really close. I just decided to go with the Packers to win the division. But as you're going to see here, it's how close I was.
And go to the East.
Yep. So now we're going to go to the East. This one's a little bit difficult, but I just think they have too good a roster, proven Super Bowls, and it's Philly. I just can't get away from Philly.
Eagles are the smart pick. I'm going with the Commanders. The only reason is because there hasn't been back-to-back winners in that division since 2004.
Yep.
So I am going to go with the Commanders. I understand the Eagles picks. They do have some new defensive players. They lost some guys in free agency. It's a little bit of a question mark. Again, another new offensive coordinator. We saw what happened a couple years ago when they got the OC wrong. Their season kind of faded down the stretch. And again, it's really tough to go back-to-back after you win the Super Bowl. Not even go back-to-back Super Bowls. It's tough to really have a good season after that. Again, those extra games that we talk about, the wear and tear on the body. A.J. Brown, I think, is going to be a player to watch, becoming a head case this year if he doesn't get enough targets week in and week out now that they've got the ring. So that's something to keep an eye on. I love the Eagles roster for sure. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just going Commanders because there's always a little bit of change in the NFL from year to year. And again, they haven't had back-to-back winners in that division since 2004. So give me the Commanders.
Okay. And in the South, I'm going to go Tampa Bay. I just think they're better than the rest of that division's just not very good.
Same here. I'm going with the Bucks, the most underrated run franchise in the entire NFL. Jason Light, the most underrated GM, especially when it comes to drafting. He hits on a lot of guys. Most of their guys, they hit throughout the draft. So there's a lot of things I like about the Falcons. Love all their offensive pieces. I think they may have got a couple good defensive players in the draft, but I don't know about their coach. And too many times I bought into the Falcons hype over the years, and I've been burned by them. So I'm going to stick with what I know and stick with the Bucks.
Yeah, I agree. The West, I think this one's difficult. This is just maybe more with my heart than my head. I'm going to go with San Francisco. I think they bounce back a little bit as long as they stay healthy. If they get hurt again like they did last year, it could be a long season again.
Yeah, the 49ers have the easiest schedule in the league.
Yep.
Great coach. They still have a lot of high-end talent. This is going to be my biggest surprise of the picks for this year. I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks winning the division as my biggest surprise division winner for this year. They went 10-7 last year. I think at least they wash at quarterback with the change. They bring in Cooper Kupp. They still have Jackson Smith. They're going to be a heavy run team. Defense, I think, has really a lot of potential on it. probably one of the least talked about young and up and coming coaches there in Seattle. So Seattle's my surprise division winner in the NFL this year.
Yeah, that they were close. Not super close in my opinion, but they could. I don't think anybody in that division is going to be 14-2 or 14-3.
Too many question marks with injuries to Stafford, the Niners injuries, and new young players. I think this division for all four teams, to be honest, it'll come down to the final couple of weeks. It should be a fun division this year.
All right, and then my 3 wild card is Detroit. I think Detroit's good. I think them and the Packers are going to go right down to the wire. One game, Detroit, and then I've got the Commanders in the playoffs, and then my last one is I picked the Rams. I think the Rams, Stafford's going to be healthy enough, I believe, and I got the Rams in the playoffs.
Okay, so you've got 3 new playoff teams total,
Yep.
Which I think this past year it was 3 as well. So you're kind of on par with what just happened. My 3 wildcard teams, I'm going to start with the Eagles. Again, too good of a roster to not make the playoffs unless Jalen Hurts and Barkley both get injured. I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I've got the 49ers. Now, I do have some question marks with them. Their wide receiver room is all banged up, and they're going to have, I think, 3 rookies starting and another 3 or 4 contributing big-time play on the defensive side of the ball, which I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a question mark. We don't know. If they hit on some of those players, it could be a great thing. Those young players on defense, cheap contracts. So I do have the 49ers as my second wild card team. And then my last wild card team, this was the toughest, but give me the team that is younger, got the younger quarterback and the healthier one. Packers get in as a wild card team over the Rams, which if Stafford stays healthy all year, that's going to be my biggest miss by far. But old quarterbacks, back injury, it worries me too much. If Stafford didn't have the back injury, I'd probably pick the Rams to win the division. But given what he's got going on, all the injuries he's had throughout his career, to me, it's too much of a risk. I think either the 49ers or Rams are going to miss the playoffs, one of them. If they were both healthy and everything, I'd probably have them both getting in. But give me the Packers as a wild card team. The Rams I have as a first team out. And another team I was flirting with, if they had an easier schedule, was the New York Giants.
I wondered if you wouldn't have the Giants. How long before Jackson Dart is their quarterback?
So I think someone did a stat that like the last 5 or 6 years, first round quarterbacks, their average week to start is week 3 before they get their first start. Now, if Russell plays good and doesn't turn the ball over, I think they're going to be in just about every game because of their defense. But given that I don't know how much Russ has left, Jackson Dart, again, is a rookie, and their schedule is brutal. I mean, it's a very, very tough schedule. If they had an easier schedule, I was thinking about putting the Giants in as a sleeper, but I just have too much trust in the Rams, the Packers, and the 49ers to have the Giants jump any of those teams. So I didn't have the guts to put the Giants in. So you and I both have 3 new playoff teams this year.
All right. You want to do the AFC or the NFC first for their championship game participants?
Let's go ahead and get your AFC championship matchup and winner.
No surprise here. It is going to be Kansas City, most likely in Kansas City, because that's just what happens as long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes is healthy and playing, that's what's going to happen. And then I am going to go with the Ravens. In it, they get the Bills. It's a 50. I mean, it's a heck of a football game. The Bills got them last year. The Ravens get them this year. Let's go that way.
I don't mind that at all. I've also got the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. As Nick Wright likes to say, the Chiefs season's only 2 games long. It starts at the AFC Championship, and it just depends. Do they play 1 game or 2? I'm actually going to have them traveling on the road for the AFC Championship game this coming season, going to Buffalo.
Okay. Yep. That would be, I mean, that's my other one.
For the final game ever played in Orchard Park and I think it's now Hallmark Stadium. It's been around for like 55 years. The following season, the Bills are going to be opening up their new stadium. So I've got the Chiefs going to Buffalo for the final game ever played in that stadium. It's an old stadium. Chiefs at the Bills. And because of that, I'm just going to go with a little bit of voodoo or whatever you want to call it. It's their time. Can the Chiefs really go to 4 straight? I'm going to have Buffalo finally getting over the hump and beating the Chiefs. I wanted to have kind of a more fun AFC matchup, maybe the Chargers in there, or the Broncos or something. But until Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes prove that they don't make the AFC Championship game, I just got to have them in there. So I've got Bills over Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl.
And I have the Ravens over the Chiefs. So we both have the Chiefs not getting to the Super Bowl.
That'll make a lot of people happy. Whoever comes out of the AFC, it's going to make a lot of people happy if the Chiefs don't go. So you've got the Ravens, I've got the Bills, 2 of the more popular picks, but we both have the Chiefs there, which I think you have to as a betting person. Until, like I said, until they prove that they're not going to make it there, you got to have the Chiefs in that game.
Yep. Now, if Mahomes is hurt, if Jackson is hurt, or Allen is hurt, then all bets are off.
Yeah, and the thing about it is Mahomes and Allen don't really get hurt very often. Allen's hardly – I don't know if he's even missed a game, to be honest. I think he took one snap last year or the year before just to keep his consecutive streak going, then came off the field. But Lamar's missed some games, some of those because of sickness. But, yeah, I mean, those are the big 3 in the AFC. We all know that. And everybody outside of Kansas City is rooting for the Ravens, the Bills, or anybody for that matter,
right,
to go represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. All right. NFC, the National Football Conference. I've got Philly getting back there. I just think their roster's too good. And then this is where how close I was. I've got Detroit getting there. They're really good. Disappointment last year in the playoffs. They overcome it this year, get to the championship game.
Okay. I've got the Packers kind of hitting their stride toward the end of the season. Once Mike really gets going, I have them as a wild card team going on a little bit of a run in the playoffs. And this is probably going to be my last year to pick this team because the core nucleus, there's going to be a lot of guys that need paid. I've got Packers at Detroit. After this season, Aiden Hutchinson's going to get paid, and then they're going to have to start making decisions on Gibbs, extending him. What are they going to do with Montgomery, Laporta, Brian Branch, the safety? This is kind of the final run for this core nucleus of players there in Detroit. They'll be able to keep some of them, of course, because they paid some guys earlier. They're good with their cap, and they're a good drafting team. But this is kind of the last year that, at least as of right now, because they might have a reset year after this, pull back just a tad. But I've got Packers going to Detroit for the NFC Championship game.
Not a surprise there at all. Yeah, NFC North going to be represented in the Super Bowl in your thing. And then this is where I have, like I said, I picked the Packers to win the division, but I have Detroit getting to the Super Bowl, beating Philadelphia. I just think last year's complete and utter disappointment, I think, fuels them this year. I know they lost coordinators. I know they lost, but I think Dan Campbell will – circle the wagons, as Chris Berman used to say for the Buffalo Bills, but he will get them going. And none of the people, that core group that you just talked about, want to put last year's bad taste in their mouth long behind them.
Well, you and I are circling the wagons together in the NFC because I've got the Lions over the Packers. And the Lions, I've got Lions-Bills Super Bowl, which America's going to love.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
It'll be a win-win and then also a loss-loss because you don't want either team to lose. So I've got Lions-Bills Super Bowl. Again, the AFC finally gets a new team through. Dan Campbell and the lovable Lions finally get through two organizations that have never won it, playing for the Super Bowl. So this is the one America wants to see. And like I said, this might be the last year I get to pick the Lions. I've been on them early for a few years now, before just about anybody was. So I kind of have to stick with them. They were a strength for me early on, and they might be my biggest downfall this year. We'll see with the loss of both coordinators. But I do have Bills-Lions Super Bowl matchup.
All right. And then I am going to the chagrin of America, not let the Lions win. I do have the Ravens and Lamar Jackson hoisting the Vince Lombardi trophy.
Okay. And I've got the AFC champ hosting it as well. I've got the Bills beating the Lions. I think Josh Allen will be able to outduel Jared Goff just enough. I think it'd be a great game. Again, Ravens would be good too. It wouldn't be the Chiefs. So, like I said, anybody outside of Kansas City would be happy with that. But you and I both have the popular picks. I just don't know if Kansas City can make 4 straight. That's really tough to do in the free agency era, especially with all the extra wear and tear those players have had. I do expect Kansas City to be in the championship game. But, yeah, I've got Bills over Lions, a Super Bowl that I would love. I'd love the 2-week build-up. It'd be an exciting one, and I would be happy and sad at the same time if we get that Super Bowl because I'd want both teams to win. But that would be one that America would be rooting for.
Detroit's never even been in a Super Bowl, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and then Buffalo obviously is 0-4. They haven't been any. They just went to those 4 straight in the 90s, right?
Yep, that's right. So it'd be a hell of a matchup. Yours would too with the Ravens.
Right.
That'd be fun with Lamar versus the Lions. Either of those would be America would sign up for that right now.
Yeah, as long essentially now we're obviously very local to the Chiefs. Oh, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I like watching them play. They're fun to watch. As if the Bears aren't in it, is what it is. Which the Bears aren't going to be. They're not. They're not quite ready yet. But if Kansas City's not there, just for the America to cheer against the Ravens and Buffalo. They're the next two because they really are. Those the 3 best, most important quarterback on their team
for Buffalo and Baltimore.
Yeah, and then Kansas City. I mean, those 3 guys they're the MVPs every year as long as their teams win. It's just they're the top 3 in my opinion.
Yeah, they're the top 3. People throw Joe Burrow in there. I probably would too. The problem is he's playing for Cincinnati, which is a goofy run franchise. Not his fault. I guess he could have, forced his way out of there before the draft. He didn't. But, yeah, I mean, the big 3 quarterbacks are the big 3. To me, it's a big 4, but I think most everybody's in agreement of that. So it's a gauntlet, and right now the AFC has their Tiger Woods, their Michael Jordan, and Josh Allen and Lamar, the Phil Mickelson, or whoever. They're trying to break through and get over one of the greatest to ever play the game. So it's tough. If Lamar and Josh were in the NFC, they'd probably have already been to a Super Bowl by now.
Right. I would agree. I mean, well, Purdy's 1 arm injury away from maybe being in 2 already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly right. So I'm looking forward to the season. You and I are pretty close.
I'm surprised at how close we were, actually.
Yeah, I think that's probably the closest we've been in years since we've been doing this that I can remember. So we're pretty close. I did have a few bets that I'm kind of looking at for anybody out there that's looking. MVP, I just wrote down 1 long shot. A lot of people have been mentioning this. Baker Mayfield at 25-1. He put up huge stats last year. I think he's going to put up big stats again this year. He's a fan favorite, of course. So I think 25-1 is a good long shot if you're looking for one. Offensive Player of the Year, Jahmyr Gibbs, 10-1. I think there's an argument. Take away quarterbacks. I think Saquon's going to come back down to earth a little bit. Typically, running backs that have that many touches in a season, they just naturally come back down. But I think there's an argument that Jahmyr Gibbs is the best skill position player in the league outside of like a Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to have a monster year. And then Defensive Player of the Year, Aiden Hutchinson at 7-1. Again, he was on
pace last year.
He was on pace last year before the injury. Jared Verse at 15-1 with the Rams. If Stafford could stay healthy and they win 10+ games, I think there's some value at Jared Verse at 15-1. If you're looking for a long shot Defensive Player of the Year, Kyle Hamilton at 50-1, safety for the Ravens. Now, he would have to have a bunch of picks or maybe a couple pick sixes, defensive touchdown type of things, but he's definitely a talented player that could make something like that happen. So I might throw a couple dollars on him at 50-1 as a long shot type bet.
Yep. Yeah, he was really good at Notre Dame, and he turned it. He went right into the pros and was good from day one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's a late one here, almost 11:35 here, and that nothing wrong with that. Football is fully back starting tomorrow at 7:20, I believe here. So a little after 8:00 Eastern. You're in a hotel room. Where are you at this week, Trev?
Denver Tech Center. So I'm not far from home. I'll be up in Fort Collins area tomorrow, and then starting next week, I'll be Southern Utah, Vegas, followed by Phoenix, and back home and making the rounds. So I'll be on the road again, like always.
Nope, sounds good. All right, thanks a lot, Trev, and thanks for everybody for listening, and we'll talk next week.
All righty, have a good one.